Planning a night out on the tongue in Grenada? Well, getting a personal driver just got much easier with the RideGo app, of course. Now, you have access to over 100 licensed and approved drivers. Enjoy the vibrant nightlife knowing a ride is always just moments away. Safe, reliable, at your service, wherever the night takes you. Download the RideGo app today and experience Grenada's nightlife with ease. RideGo. Hey, where do you want to go?
Yeah. No long talking, guys, because I'm already late and I could see some of all your faces already. Why are you so late? I apologize, guys. I was coming from Brooklyn and a lot of traffic on the Bell Parkway, and it was just I tried everything. I tried to fly, but it just wasn't happening. I just couldn't get airborne. Nonetheless, guys, we are obligated to bring you this information here today. And of course, my guest joining me is someone I think is the most appropriate person at this point in time to speak to the Caribbean on what we are seeing, what we are sort of witnessing here in the Caribbean. A first, well, not a first really. A first of its magnitude of kind of what is building up to be. A lot of people are very concerned on what's happening in Venezuela. If you guys been paying attention, you would know that there are a large amount of U.S. assets, military assets stationed in the Caribbean in that general area right there, right? The target, as the U.S. is saying, is to stop the narcotic trade, the drug trade that goes in and out of Venezuela, to curb that. And there have been a lot of talk of how this whole increase in U.S. assets may or may not destabilize not only what's happening in Venezuela, but the other Caribbean islands. Now, Trinidad and Tobago has stated its position on it. Guyana also state their position on it. Other Caribbean islands are speaking out. And as I said, the most appropriate person to speak to today, and I'm rushing it because he don't have a lot of time, is Mr. Gary Griffith. Now, Mr. Gary Griffith, as you guys would know, he is probably the Caribbean Police Commissioner. Everybody looks for him for any type of information as it relates to these type of things, and he's our go-to person for that information. Mr. Gary Griffiths, I know you don't have time. Thank you so much, and I apologize for the lateness. Thank you for joining us on Ride Along Live. Let me unmute you there. All right, sorry. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, always my pleasure. Good evening to you and to your many listeners and viewers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Gary Griffith. How you been today, sir?
Not too bad. I was in traffic just like yourself. So both of us had a traffic ride along.
Yes. Okay, so let's go right into it, Mr. Gary Griffith. You in Trinidad right now. You're very, very intimately aware as what's happening as a former police commissioner, police chief. and military as well, you understand the dynamics at play. Let's put it into a nutshell. What's really happening here, and how did we get to this position where we talk about possible war in the Caribbean region? How did we get here?
Well, it is a domino. Sorry.
Yeah.
What's been happening is that this is something that is just escalating and it is getting more and more volatile. It is unfortunate. What we're seeing in Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, is like arguably half of the country is supportive of what the government is doing and half they are very concerned. And we usually make these decisions based on the politics. I don't. I do it based on my experience from spending 17 years as a military officer, national security advisor, security minister, and a commissioner of police. Being a security minister is where that hat is where I am fully aware of the dynamics of this whole situation. Many people are against the decision by the government in making a decision without liaising with CARICOM. Having said that, I think people are misinterpreting the fact that CARICOM is not a federation. Every country in CARICOM has a right, they're independent countries, and they have a right to make their own decision. Granted, it is good that you can have communication, but there have been 4 countries in CARICOM that made a decision early o'clock to say that they are supporting Venezuela, and there was no concern about that. Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, those are the 2 countries that have the biggest threat as it pertains to Venezuela. Guyana, based on that Essequibo situation, for the last few years, Venezuela have openly drawn the line in the sand against Guyana. So Guyana knows that there's a clear and present danger. Trinidad and Tobago, in more recent times, we have seen the situation escalate. It has not held based on 2 matters. Firstly, Trinidad and Tobago itself, not the prime minister so much, but other junior government ministers who have no training or qualification in national security. You hear Philip Alexander basically making comments that one US Marine could take out 100 Venezuelans, and stupid comments like that is not called for. Apart from the fact that he has watched one too many Rambo movies, when you have people that are ignorant in national security making comments like that, you give the impression that the US is so supreme that they can cover and protect Trinidad and Tobago. That is not so. Yes, I heard the comment you made that we have a large maritime presence of US military personnel. That is very rare. I have been involved in spending 17 years as a military officer. We have worked closely with the United States from Tradewinds, CINSEC, that's Caribbean Islands Nation Security Conference, CANSEC, and all of these things. But they've never come so far south. We do not. If the US decides to pull out, and we decide to, like sometimes somebody plays strong, and because you have a big brother, when the big brother leaves now, you have nothing to protect you. There's the perception by Philip Alexander and others who are ignorant in understanding this situation. Venezuela, if there's going to be some all-out armed conflict, Venezuela it's not about having naval presence. They can stay on the mainland and press a button. And by pressing that button, it means that they can easily do a lot of damage to Trinidad and Tobago. So people are not aware of the volatile situation. Many persons have never been involved in armed conflict to understand the dynamics of the situation. What is required more than anything else is dialogue, it's communication. It is some degree of statesmanship and diplomacy. Mm-hmm. Yes, so I do agree that there should be some degree of communication with our CARICOM allies. If it can still happen, I will welcome it. This should not be us picking sides. It's not about a US versus Venezuela, and we need to pick a side. That is not what this is about. I must quickly add, my final point on this is that this matter has escalated for decades with Venezuela. The La Guardia Nacional have constantly, since the 1980s, we have been aware of the La Guardia Nacional. It entering Trinidad and Tobago's waters, attacking our fishermen, seizing their vessels, seizing their fish, seizing their nets, and then they have to fend for themselves. So we are aware of Venezuela encroaching into Trinidad and Tobago's waters. As the Minister of National Security, when I acquired the Diamond vessels, I said point blank, I said, this has to stop. And thankfully, because of that, bilateral agreement was signed and it was approved with Venezuela that they will stop entering our waters. That lasted for a few years because the last administration refused to maintain the vessels that I acquired, which were the Diamond vessels. And so you have that situation with Venezuela. We have a situation with 20,000 Venezuelans who are allowed to be regularized without a vetting process. Some of them are involved in criminal activities. And now we have the situation with Venezuelan senior government officials throwing shots across the bow. When you hear a Venezuelan government minister make comments along the line to state that they are aware that Trinidad and Tobago has terrorists and they will hunt terrorists anywhere in the world that they see them. That is basically a hint of an excuse to be used to enter Trinidad and Tobago's land. Likewise, when it is that they make comments to say that Trinidad and Tobago is being used as a launching pad to attack, to destabilize Venezuela, when there's no evidence to prove that. So we have seen many situations where Venezuela have virtually made lines and statements to try to, it can be seen that they intend to do the same that they intend to do to Guyana. So Trinidad and Tobago, there is a clear and present danger, just like Guyana. And if we have international allies who have been very supportive of us for a very long time, it is not about us making stupid comments like Minister Alexander to say that the US will deal with them if they attack us. That is not what is required. The people who make these comments have never held a water gun. They've never been involved in armed conflict. We must try as much as possible to put some degree of stability, a degree of maturity, whilst at the same time understand that this situation is not going to go away by us just burying our head in the sand.
Right. What about countries that are looking at it from the perspective of their own sovereignty? Now, Trinidad, of course, and all the islands have their sovereignty to protect their own self. But an armed conflict of that magnitude could mean a destabilizing retro effect to all the region, and not only in the tourist sector, right? Because if you have something of a conflict like that right out there in the Caribbean Sea, in the peak of the tourist season, would cruise ship even come to the Caribbean? So people are thinking about all of that stuff. What do you think? Are they right to think that might destabilize their own sovereignty?
No, definitely. It is a domino effect, and you're correct. Where you have the concerns such as Trinidad and Tobago because of the crime situation, we are being red flagged by many countries to tell tourists about coming to Trinidad and Tobago. A situation like this that has now been, this is past the stage of murders and kidnappings. We're speaking about armed conflict between different countries. This has never happened before in Trinidad and Tobago. The closest we have seen, as I said, has been the La Guardia Nacional invading our waters illegally and attacking our fishermen. Now, if it is that this goes one step further, people are obviously going to be concerned. Trinidad and Tobago has 99% of citizens in Trinidad and Tobago have never experienced what some of us would have experienced, working in the United Nations, being involved in some degree of armed conflict and training in the United Kingdom and Africa and so forth. So people are not aware of how the damage that can be done. The closest we have seen in Trinidad and Tobago was the 1990 attempted coup, and that lasted a few days by a set of 100 riffraff persons who were not trained or qualified in counter-revolutionary warfare, and I was the youngest officer, in fact, in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force at the time, and that was a mismatch. What we are seeing now is something that we must find ways to minimize the possibility of this escalating, but it is not helping when you have Venezuela making statements. I mean, you refer to our prime minister as a drunkard, then you state that we have terrorists and you intend to hunt terrorists wherever you find them, and that we are being used as a launching pad to destabilize Venezuela. Those type of comments must cause any government and prime minister to be concerned that you are throwing words that seems to be an avenue to justify your next step. And if that is the case, by right, if I was a prime minister, I will look at my international allies, jump high, jump low. And it is not a choice between USA and Venezuela. The United States have supported Trinidad and Tobago 100% in national security as it pertains to training, equipment, technology, building our resources. Venezuela have never lifted a finger. They've never done a thing. So if the United States would continue to act as our support mechanism, it's not to say that we intend to support the US in a conflict with Venezuela. That is their business that all CARICOM countries should stay out. It's not our business. But Venezuela have stated categorically, both to Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, we have a vested interest and justification to see that we can invade your airspace and your territory. And if that is the case, we need to protect ourselves. And if it is, again, Trinidad and Tobago, we don't have that type of technology. Venezuela, as I said, they can easily stay from the mainland and press a button. We need to have that type of technology of SAM, surface-to-air missiles, drones. When I left as National Security Minister, we left the PNM government with 4 helicopters and 2 aircraft from the Air Guard. Now the Air Guard, they don't even have anything even to fly a kite. The PNM totally shut down every single thing. So for the last 6 years, the Air Guard has absolutely no air capability, not even to fly a kite. I left them as Minister of National Security with a 100-meter plus Chinese vessel to train 150 sailors every 6 months. They never left Stobels Bay. 12 Damen vessels at a cost of 1.2 billion less than the 3 OPVs. They never touched it and never maintained it. So because of that, even the Coast Guard is defenseless. I formed a police marine branch that has never been utilized since I left as Commissioner of Police. So we are virtually crippled. We have been crippled based on incompetence, bad management. I did approvals for drones, for hovercraft, for interceptors. All of these things were sidelined, armored vehicles. So with that now, it is virtually impossible to expect us to have some degree of support on to defend ourselves from external aggression unless we get that type of external support from our international allies.
Yeah, but isn't okay, if the US is pushing for a change of regime in Venezuela, right? Isn't that a worse case scenario for Trinidad? Because if the Maduro regime falls, right? We've seen that in other places where the US move in and they push for a change in regime, and then the situation become worse. Then there'll be more Venezuelan just finding a place to live. And where they're gonna move? The closest neighbor, Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. You're correct. As I said, 20,000 persons were regularized by the previous administration. It was wrong. It was done in a wrong manner because there was no vetting process. So hundreds of persons who were probably gang members, criminal elements, and persons who can be a liability to the public purse or be a threat to national security were regularized. It was very unfair to the 100,000 other illegal immigrants from throughout CARICOM, China, India, Africa, who have been here for years and didn't get that opportunity. So that is where we stand right now. If it is that Venezuela becomes virtually crippled by any attack with the United States, they are going to be coming across here not by the thousands, but by the hundreds of thousands, which makes it even more significant why we must have that US presence to protect our borders from that influx that we might get based on that, because people are going to look to escape, and rightly so. And if it is, we can't handle it now, where Venezuela is not unstable, well, not as unstable as it would be if there's some degree of open armed conflict with the United States. All Trinidad and Tobago, we will not be able to recover if we end up with hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans entering here illegally. The only way that could be prevented is U.S. military naval intervention between the waters, those few miles between the mainland and Trinidad and Tobago. Right now, we do not have that naval capability to protect ourselves if it is that persons are going to be coming in here by the hundreds of thousands. So which gives even greater justification for us to seek that support from the United States in case this happens.
Yeah, okay. And I get that. A lot of people are saying, would America really exhaust its resources over time, over a long period of time, to aid the Caribbean region? And then also think about the aspect of, okay, if something happened, the armed conflict, it's not only going to be, I'm doubtful that it would only be centralized in Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago, everybody's right there. And I've seen places like Ukraine, when Ukraine throw bombs, they're hitting all over the place now, everybody getting hit. So it's not only destabilizing centrally Venezuela, but Trinidad. What about displacement and people, bombs hitting Trinidad? I mean, I can't even think about it. It is so crazy to even think something like that happening to our neighbors and ourselves, like Grenada right around the corner. Are we thinking about all these possibilities of things happening?
Hence the reason why I strongly recommended an emergency meeting with CARICOM, not just with the prime ministers, because there's not one prime minister we have throughout CARICOM that has any degree of training or knowledge in counter-revolutionary warfare, armed conflict, or military or law enforcement training. I can't recall. I don't think there's any. So it's not just about a meeting with the prime ministers, but also the relevant national security ministers and also the commissioners of police and chiefs of defense staff. We need to, that is why I actually drafted the Ministry of Defense for Trinidad and Tobago to prepare us for such a situation. We never had a Ministry of Defense before. I drafted it since 2010 for the prime minister. It was not implemented because probably some persons thought that it will split their power by being Minister of National Security. But I drafted the Ministry of Defense specifically to prepare us for situations like this, because the role and function of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force is not just as an aid to civil power, but it's also to defend and protect us from external aggression. So it definitely requires dialogue throughout CARICOM, but with experts there to explain what can arise in a situation like this. You have situations when you have a country that becomes affected by war. Sometimes you might even have to, a government can collapse because of it, and you turn into martial law, which is where the military now takes over. The things that I'm speaking about, most citizens in Trinidad and Tobago have never experienced. They see it in the movies. I have seen it. I've felt it. I spent 6 months in Haiti with our CARICOM troops, 300 of us from 6 different CARICOM countries, Bahamas, Antigua, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, to ensure that Haiti can get back democracy after it was virtually crippled. So we don't want to see a repeat of what has happened in Haiti. But again, these things, a country that becomes ripped by armed conflict, counter-revolutionary warfare, whatever it is, terrorist activity, sometimes it takes years for them to recover. The more we can find ways to prevent this from happening, the better for us. I think we are a little too small we are in the dance. You know, when the elephants fight, only the grass is trampled. I think it's beyond us to be involved in any dialogue between Venezuela and the United States. But what we must not do is to show that, listen, we are sided with the United States. It's not about siding with the United States. This is about Venezuela openly making threats to Trinidad and Tobago, accusing Trinidad and Tobago wrongfully, lying about our country, and giving excuses to justify invading our country and that these are shots across the bow, and we must be concerned. The United States have not made such threats. Venezuela have done so, and Venezuela have done so based on the accusation that Trinidad and Tobago will use USA as a launching pad for the USA to attack Venezuela. That has not been done. If that is done, Trinidad and Tobago would now become targeted by Venezuela. But at this time, we have not done so. We have not made any such arrangements. We are not allies of the United States in any armed conflict with Venezuela. So I think in local parlance, the Venezuelan president, the vice president, and the defense minister did damn fast and out of place to be making threats to accuse Trinidad and Tobago of something that we have not done, and to use that as justification to want to invade Trinidad and Tobago.
I hear you there. And listen, I am so appreciative of your information here. But this is the point I want to raise, right? If America has been so concerned and is so concerned about the liberation of the Caribbean and intervention and helping the Caribbean and love the Caribbean, why haven't America used its power and force in Haiti? Why haven't America? And the problem in Haiti is different from what's happening in Trinidad. Haiti is just some internal gangs that are basically took over the whole place. So America could clean that up pretty quickly. Why haven't they done as much as they're trying to do in Trinidad in Haiti? Is it that they love Trinidad so much?
Well, I do recall when it is that I went across with the United Nations mission in Haiti, it was the United States that provided almost 100% of the logistic support, the weapons, the meals, the transportation, the accommodation, everything. It was the US, and then it was handed over to the UN with the US support. And that was 1995. This started. I think about 2 or 3 other occasions, the United States have gone in there, provided the support, and as soon as things there's a degree of control, all hell broke loose again. We need to find an avenue again with CARICOM. We have abandoned Haiti. I was very disappointed when I listened to certain countries said they were willing to send troops to Haiti to try to deal with this volatile situation. These are gang members. When it is you talk about our trained, qualified military persons from different arms in CARICOM, we're supposed to have gone to Haiti by now to have dealt with this situation and put some degree of control. If it is again, that would become the military now would have taken over. But that is what is required. But I don't think that at this time we may have the logistic capability to send a foothold into Haiti without the US support. So again, you're quite right, but the US have done it before. I think it is based on CARICOM making the decision to inform the United States that the same thing that you did in 95 and a couple of times after in the 21st century, you have provided that type of logistic, administrative, financial support for CARICOM to assist in stabilizing Haiti. It is by this time, it is more than required.
Yeah. Do you think it's about oil? Do you think it's about the fact that we have this oil-producing countries, Venezuela and Trinidad is over here, and what does Haiti produce? Like if the same was different, or if the different was same, or if it was a different perspective and Haiti is the one that have the oil, do you think that it would have been the same reality as it is now? Just thinking from the top of my head.
Well, and again, you will hear the comments from that because people are saying just now you will hear Venezuela's weapons of mass destruction as well.
Oh, exactly, we heard it before.
And again, that is above our pay grade. We do not know. It is rather strange that the United States will send such heavy naval supremacy so deep into the Southern Caribbean. This is going to cost a pretty penny. The US has something known as SOUTHCOM. SOUTHCOM acts in dealing with border security and protection, mostly within the Caribbean. And most of their vessels will stay just around Florida, Bahamas, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, in those areas. For them to go so far south, this is costing tens upon tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions US per month to have these vessels so far down south. How long they're going to remain here, we do not know, because it is affecting the taxpayers in the United States. People are going to be frustrated eventually to say why it is we are spending hundreds of millions per month to have these vessels way down south and nothing is happening. So something is going to give. Something is going to give. This is not going to be staying indefinitely, which is why my concern is that certain government officials, i.e. Philip Alexander, needs to shut his mouth, stop making these wild statements on Venezuela, because if the US pulls out and they head back up north, Philip Alexander believes that the US is similar to Captain Kirk and the Starship Enterprise. If Venezuela decides to attack us, you could just press a button and the US warships will be beamed down here within seconds. It's going to take a week. By that time, it'll be all over within hours. So we need to, unless the US has permanent presence in Trinidad and Tobago to assist us, we are going to be defenseless and crippled by any type of open warfare with Venezuela, unless the US leaves here and leaves us with the type of things I spoke about, drones, helicopters, interceptors, SAM, surface-to-air missiles, to intercept missiles that may come from Venezuela by them just staying on the mainland and pressing that button. So all of this is a concern. What is the reason for the US presence here? The US have given their reason, their justification. It is not foolhardy. The perception people are saying is that why you have such massive vessels to deal with transnational organized crime. That is why the PNM were purchasing the OPVs. Every country has something known as an exclusive economic zone, which can go 200 miles off your mainland. And the British forces have provided such naval vessels from the United Kingdom, and they've brought it into the Caribbean and assisted us tremendously with my then TOCU, the Transnational Organized Crime Unit, to be involved in joint military and intelligence operations to intercept tens of millions in cocaine and weapons. The French forces in the Antilles have done the same for us with the same type of vessels. So let us not be fooled to feel that what the US is doing, why you need such large vessels. The vessels can't turn up here to then send out launchers and helicopters and interceptors unless you have those type of vessels. And I'm not saying that I am not here to defend the US and say that is what the US is saying. But as I said, the French and the British have sent similar vessels within our waters to deal with the similar situation. If the United States is saying that, unless they decide to do differently, it is not our business to defend or to attack the US based on their rationale. That is not our business. I will say 24. We doesn't know and we doesn't care. What we need to do is to make sure that if one country is openly showing some degree of aggression and threats to Trinidad and Tobago, we need to make sure we have as much support from our international allies to have us protected in case it goes to that situation of stepping up to what DEFCON 1. That's the last thing we want.
Wow. And finally, are we past the stage of diplomacy? Are we past the stage where we can say, guys, let's talk about this. Let us do what we do best in the Caribbean. We sit and we chat and we sort things out. Are we past?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. We are not a federation. 1 from 10 left 0. So we are not a federation. Every single country in the Caribbean, we are independent. We have self-governance. So it is the right of every CARICOM country to make their own decision. Having said that, sometimes what one will do, it will affect the others, as you have stated. So even though Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana might be most affected with any action by Venezuela, there's going to be a domino effect with trade, tourism, and investment throughout CARICOM if we become affected in some degree of armed conflict or even war. So what is required is still dialogue. It should not be CARICOM pointing fingers at Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana and saying, how dare you support the United States? Because the Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana government could say the same about St. Vincent, Grenada, and some other countries who have done the same by stating openly that they support Grenada. So this is not about who supports, Venezuela. This should not be about who is supporting who. I think, as I said, it requires dialogue, but not just with the politicians. The politicians have never held a water gun. They've never seen what armed conflict can do. They need to have the experts who are chiefs of defense staff of the military, plus their commissioners of police, plus their security ministers, with an emergency meeting for us to see what are the steps, what are the options, what can we do as CARICOM to assist in some degree of diplomacy and statesmanship to try to lessen. Everybody needs to calm down, take a deep breath, and lessen the tension. It may become virtually irrelevant what we do between Venezuela and the United States, but what we do as CARICOM can have an effect to assist CARICOM. We need to stop pointing fingers at each other and blaming each other. Kamala Persad-Bissessy is looking after the interests of Trinidad and Tobago citizens. Let me just quickly add, I recall I had a similar situation when I was security minister. When we had 110,000 illegal immigrants, at least 40,000 were from Guyana, Jamaica, Barbados, and so forth. And I had a problem with that because these persons were here illegally. They were utilizing the public purse whilst not contributing to the public purse. They were unemployed. It's a byproduct of crime, inflation, unemployment. And I stated that this has to stop. CARICOM attacked me for it. But my point is charity begins at home. I'm not saying that, and many of these persons could be of value. So what I did is not say that they must be thrown out, but say that we will have a 3-month moratorium to have all persons regularized so that they can pay taxes. It will assist them as well because they were being paid below the minimum wage. They were sometimes involved in child prostitution, human trafficking, not being paid overtime. And by doing that, everyone will pay taxes, inclusive of the employer. It would have injected over 2 billion TT annually into the economy. My point being is that is what is required. Dialogue rather than just automatically look after what is best for my country. Sometimes what we do can affect or benefit other countries in CARICOM. What is required is dialogue, communication, and mutual respect.
Absolutely. Gary Griffith, thank you so much. And I'm sorry we took up extra time, but I appreciate your perspective as always on this ongoing situation in the Caribbean Sea. Any last word there, Mr. Griffith, you want to say before we wrap up?
No, not at all. I just hope that good sense will prevail. But we have seen how these things could affect countries, and it is hoped that how long can God be a Trinity? We do not know, but it is hoped that this does not escalate. That will affect not just Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, but it could affect CARICOM. Let us work together and hope for the best that we can play some part towards ensuring that we go in the right direction. And if we don't, well, then we must be prepared.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Gary Griffith. I appreciate you.
Take care.
All right, guys. That was, of course, Mr. Gary Griffith. He is, I think, the best person that we could have to discuss this topic here, this ongoing situation in the Caribbean Sea. Now, my position on this, and I want you guys to call me and tell me your position on this. My position on this is that I believe that this could cause a destabilizing ripple effect throughout the Caribbean region. Personally, I don't, and I also do not believe that America is just coming in because they love the S-hole countries so much. They love this country so much. They love Trinidad so much. Background, that full consultation and conversation with the rest of the region, knowing fully well that any kind of armed conflict within the Caribbean region, any kind of armed conflict within these Caribbean Sea will essentially destabilize the entire region. Absolutely. The Caribbean rely on almost 70 to 80% of revenue to tourism. Yeah, that's a lot. A huge, probably not 70, say more like 45 to 50%. And if that is the case, and we have people deciding not to travel to the Caribbean because you don't see what happening in the Caribbean, what effect would it have on the region? Now, this is not only, or this would not only affect Trinidad and Tobago. This essentially will affect every single island in that region. Talking about St. Vincent, Grenada. I mean, when bombs flying, they're flying all over the place. They say bullet don't have no eye. Well, bombs blind. They don't have no eye. They don't have no teeth. They don't have no sense. They're falling all over, and they're going further than bullets. So think about it, guys. Are we ready? Is government in the Caribbean ready to have that type of instability in our region? Could we sustain ourselves for even 5 months, 2 months. And it won't be 2 months or 5 months. Because after all of this, if this were to happen, because the amount of military buildup that we have in the Caribbean Sea, see right there, if anything were to happen, this would be such a long-lasting effect, not only on just tourism, but just the infrastructure. Eh? Sad. 718-701-5720, guys. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let's take your call on the line on this situation right here. Again, it's an escalation, it's a buildup of military forces in the Caribbean region. And this is America saying that it is trying to stop the narcotics from coming through Venezuela, right? Just today, there were another 3, I believe, a vessel carrying, well, the reports are a vessel carrying 3 individuals that are linked to drug trafficking, major drug trafficking from Venezuela, was shot somewhere in the Caribbean Sea, right? That just came through CNN Wire right here. And all of this is escalating. Right before that, a week ago, 11, they confiscated how much thousands of narcotics on a cruise ship, and 11 people, not cruise ship, on a boat, and 11 people got shot and killed out there in the water. So it's escalating. What's going to happen next? Now, we know that, for one, Venezuela may not be any match at all whatsoever for the United States. Similarly, like Trinidad is no match for Venezuela in terms of the military might. But Venezuela cannot sustain and maintain any kind of ongoing fight, military fight with the United States. But Venezuela is not standing by themselves. Venezuela have Russia. Venezuela have China, who are also the closest allies. And we all know Venezuela and the amount of power it has, especially with the oil resources. Hence the reason I brought up, is it about that? Is it that what we're talking about? So Venezuela is not coming in and just not sitting there and just, and the people who supportive allies of Venezuela, the Russia, the Chinas of the world, they're not going to sit by and just allow, Venezuela to fall. At least I don't think that they will. So how is that going to play out? In the region, we're going to have what? A center of war that includes places like Russia and China and Venezuela and the United States and its allies in our region. Listen, we don't know about that. Our place, our Caribbean, we don't know about them type of things. We know about party, we know about fete, we know about, a girl, other man have little difference of opinion. They may fight outside or a little thing, but we don't know about that kind of instability and war. Bombs flying from all over the place. What? No, drones, helicopter in the air, bombers flying overhead. Are you crazy? So I believe good sense should start to prevail at some point in time, where Trinidad, Venezuela, Caribbean region, CARICOM should really try to see how some good sense could prevail. Because at the end of the day, this will affect. Now, everybody might say, well, you hurt my feelings because you say this about me and you say that about me, and I'm feeling embarrassed because you say this about me. You should never say this about me. This is personal. This is personal, right? At the end of the day, you're talking about instability for a whole region. And we're talking about, somebody says something about you that is personal, right? Yes, they call the Prime Minister a drunkard. Okay, and that's bad, because the Prime Minister's office should be respected. But that is personal. That is personal. I think they should look at the broader picture. Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, all parties, including us as Grenada, and everybody else in the Caribbean region should seriously speak to their leaders and see how CARICOM could convene some kind of summit or some kind of meeting or whatever they call it, and seriously think about this. Seriously think about this. This is no joke. This is serious. And we are in the point right now, at the part where at this point we have hundreds of cruise ships That's when they start to come through the region. And we all know the effect that this cruise ship have on the tourism sector in the region. People rely on that because, it's a half year economy. The other side of that economy, there is no cruise ship and the malls are dead, right? So this is playing, the fact that the cruise ships are coming here, it positively affects those places. And think about it. If we don't have those cruise ships, if we don't have those tourists coming in, what's going to happen? 718-701-5720. That's my number. Let's have a serious conversation, guys. Let's have a serious conversation about this. And forget about, I think, politicians and people in power and people who are in that position. I think that they should really look beyond ego, right? I don't know if it's an egotistical thing. You can't say that about me, right? At the end of the day, this is going to affect every single one of us, whether you live in St. Vincent or Barbados or Grenada or Trinidad and Tobago. And where people saying, well, if this happened, then a whole slew of people will come from Venezuela into Trinidad and Tobago. But what if it destabilized not only Venezuela? What if it destabilized Trinidad and Tobago as well? Because Venezuela has the military might as well. They have a lot of stuff, right? Then what about the influx of everybody now coming down the islands? And the islands, do they have the resources to maintain and sustain? Will America scoop up everybody that are displaced or that will be displaced because of this instability and say give them permanent residence in the United States? No. Every Monday morning they're deporting how much hundreds of people from the United States, people who didn't commit a crime, people who didn't even commit a crime, people who are just trying to make ends meet. They never got involved in any kind of nothing whatsoever. They might just probably drive and their license was suspended or whatever minor thing. They've scooped up and they put in Alcatraz. That Alcatraz thing with the alligator Alcatraz, if it's still open. So, do they really love us? They don't want an influx of people or influx of Caribbean people in particular to move into the US. They're making it more difficult for people to get visas. They're increasing the rates, the prices on that. All of these things are being done right now. So is it that they really love us? And will America come to save us? 718-701-5720, guys. A serious topic. It's not a topic, a sensational topic. It's not something that people is a gossip or someone cussing out somebody. No. It's not that. It's something serious that we have to think about. And something serious that our leaders have to look at, right? Because this is present. This is happening now. This is a situation that is not they are coming there. They are placing military assets there. The fact is that these military assets are there. Just today. And if I could pull up the article, but they are they just shot and killed over 3, they say, narcotic drug trafficking between the islands out in international waters. Yeah. What happened next? And do you think at the end of this, America will be like, okay, well, we did all the cleanup, we did this, we did that. Let's leave Maduro there and let's just go. Let's just forget. Let's just go. No. People remember what happened in Gaddafi's situation. I don't want to say it much because Facebook have a way of things when you talk about it. But people know when you leave a situation, when you go into territories and you leave places that is like a vacuum and there is no real governance in a particular place, what happens? The place becomes more unstable and then it becomes ungovernable. And then you have the gang situations where people's rights are like, what rights you're talking about, right? Because there are no government. There's no government. There's no infrastructure for government because the place is left ungovernable. Come in and say, okay, well, we're gonna put $100 billion to put infrastructure in place to build a governance structure. And then who wants their government structure anyway? The fact is, the government is for the people, by the people. So the people don't want what government you want for them. No, they want the government that they want for themselves, for the people, by the people. So we all know what happens when you leave a place ungovernable. We all fully are aware to what happened. Let's go to the phone line. We got a call on the line. Caller, where are you calling us from?
We're calling from New York. How you doing, my brother?
Good. You're live.
Yeah. When situations like that happen, okay, in the Caribbean, and I was start by saying that every amount of years, 20, 40, 50 years, something new might happen. As something like crazy might happen that you never expected to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in that time, I'm saying that the Caribbean, every Caribbean island that's what we need, be together, not apart. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the same thing they had fought for a long time ago. And nobody wanted to take part. Everybody run and go where they had to go, and stuff like that. So this is what have to happen as we go into the future. Futuristically, this is what we got to do. The Caribbean islands, and I think I overheard the Barbadian Prime Minister talking about that. The Caribbean islands have to get together. Is about time, But we are so petty sometimes as people. All we talk about is who talking better than who can speak English and all this nonsense, which is nonsensical in terms of we getting together and be powerful.
Right.
Because as you said, we depend on tourism and we depend on all these things. And we don't need this influx of ammunition and craziness going on in the Caribbean. The Caribbean has remained still for the longest while. And people are okay. But there comes a time when the Caribbean islands, we have to step up in terms of safeguarding ourselves. That means making our country more powerful in terms of education, in terms of everything that we need to do. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Right.
And we have to do that. And sometimes maybe this is the time. This is the time for our nationals or people who are abroad and all these people and them, all these intelligent people that every island in the Caribbean have that serves America in every institution to make America powerful. We have to find some way in the Caribbean so we can like get a certain type of payment so we can hold all these people in our country. Some of the best doctors in America is from the Caribbean islands. The best nurses and all these things, teachers. We have so much educators. Sometimes you go to Kings County Hospital, one of the biggest person in Kings County Hospital is a Grenadian, and many more. We saw in MTA, the president one time was from Trinidad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we have enough educated people around the world, but we have to find a way of, paying them a wage that we can, when they finish whatever, we can employ them in the Caribbean to make our country more powerful in every aspect.
All right.
We got people in the army. We have people in the army. We have people in hospitals. We have people in airport. We got pilots. We don't know if they fly to Grenada. No. Everywhere we are strong, but we have to empower ourselves so that our islands could be powerful. You know, we have to be able to communicate. And this is, as I said, communication is key. We have to stop the nonsense about, as I said, like who can talk better than who. It's not necessary. All this is nonsensical when you come down to a major problem that we all have to fix. And that's my piece. That's my piece.
Thank you so much for your piece, caller. We appreciate you and everyone sharing their opinion on it. I want everyone to keep in mind that we're at a point in our history where there is a leader, that is very erratic, right? A leader of a major country that makes a lot of decision that is somewhat unpopular for people like us. Let's put it like that. And I'm not sure that this is or will be in the best interest of the people of the Caribbean. We are the S-hole countries. We are that. Yeah, that's us. That's who we were labeled, or what we were labeled as. And who give a damn about those S-hole countries and their people? We're seen as a dot on the map. To a lot of people, a lot of them, we don't even really exist, because what do we actually contribute? We don't impact the economy significantly from their perspective. So what? And I don't know if they will look out for us and see the things that we hold near and dear to our heart, like things like we are a group of people who we come together. We are friendly. We are kind. We are nice. We are very diplomatic. We don't have this type of instability. We don't have this type of war. We have carnival. We jump up. You're whining on a carnival time. You're whining on your enemy wife. You're whining on. I mean, that we are celebrative kind of people. We're happy-go-lucky, loving kind of people. Do we want to change the landscape of all of that we value as a people? People spend thousands of dollars to come to the Caribbean just to say, well, this is a beautiful place. I love to come here because of the people and the sea. A beautiful place. Do we want to change all of that? So I say, let diplomacy reign. Let diplomacy reign. And don't expect that these bigger countries will come and save us. Oh, these bigger countries, they love us so much. Oh, they love us so much. They love us so much. They love us so much. I think we need to think again, right? I don't want anyone to believe that is or will ever be the case. With that being said, guys, I want you guys to keep commenting on this, right? I am going to continue to follow up on what's happening there in Venezuela, what's happening there in the Caribbean, because it's not only Venezuela, it's not only Trinidad, it's not only that part of the world. Well, not that part of the world. It's not only here. It's not only there, sorry. Any little thing could affect everybody straight across. You see how close we are? We're right there. It takes what? 20 minutes to go from Barbados. When you go on an Inter-Caribbean or Liat, you go up, next minute you say, we are on a final descent. It takes 20 minutes to get from one place to the next, quickly like that. Easy, simple. So we are one. Think about it like this, right? If I'm in New York, it takes me 23 hours to drive to go to Florida. 23 hours. It takes me about 3 hours or so to fly from here to Florida, and that is still within the United States. But it takes 20 minutes to get from Barbados to Grenada. So look at the proximity. We are here. We are inches apart. Anything happening one affects the other. And I think that they need to look at it like from that perspective. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of our program, guys. I got a commercial break. Come back with final thoughts.
Hi, I want $10 on Playway, $20 backup on Pick3, and cash for each, please.
Okay, are you adding multi-X to your bet?
Yes, multi-X, all of them.
Smart! Best value bet. Backup and multi-X. You cannot go wrong.
Don't matter the bet, multi-X all of the daily games.
With multi-X added, your winnings can be multiplied 3 times, 5 times, even 7 times. So make it a rule. Add multi-X to all your Playway, daily Pick3, and daily cash for bets every day and for every drop, and watch your money grow. Available at stores and online.
You heard it here. Multiply your winnings daily. Must be 18 or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or visit beacongrenada.com.
Planning a night out on the tongue in Grenada? Well, getting a personal driver just got much easier with the Ride Go app, of course. Now, you have access to over 100 licensed and approved drivers. Enjoy the vibrant nightlife knowing a ride is always just moments away. Safe, reliable, and at your service, wherever the night takes you. Download the Ride Go app today and experience Grenada's nightlife with ease. Ride Go. Hey, where do you want to go?
Yes, guys. Here's what I want you guys to do right now for me. As I said earlier, we have built something brand new in Grenada. It's the Ride Go app. This have been about 3 years in the making, and it's finally here, right? It's a technology app. Well, it's a technology app. Let me see. I don't want to say that. That's not the right way. It's an app that uses technology to connect you, the customer, to drivers. Yes, that's the idea. So you are at home and you want to go somewhere. You have this app in your phone. Before, you had to call this taxi and say, oh, or you had to call downstairs and say, listen, could you call a cab for me? No. Now the power is in your hand. Yeah, the power is in your hand. So the Ride Go app puts the power in your hand. See, it's Ride Go, right? All this thing this is a powerhouse. It basically gives you the ability to request a cab or taxi or a luxury vehicle straight to your house or wherever you are. You might go to a party. So we built this, we've launched this, and so far it's tremendous. It's getting so much great reviews. I want you guys to check it out. Go into the App Store and download the Ride Go, spelled R-Y-D-E-G-O. That's R-Y-D-E-G-O. Download the app. But not only for people that in Grenada alone, It's only in Grenada now, but you may come to Grenada at some point in time. And from the time you land, you want somebody to pick you up. So download the app, and Ride Go will connect you. Just press that button, and you got it, just like that. For more information on Ride or Ride Go, you got to call. The number is 473-403-1011. That's 403-403-1011. 1011. 473-403-1011. Right, go when you want to go. Thanks again for watching. On behalf of all of our production team here at Ride Along Live, our senior executive producer, Lois JJ, how are you? Lynn. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the late start on today's program. I promise I'll be early tomorrow. I promise you. I'll be early tomorrow. Okay? Catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night.